Okay, so this is actually the third time that I've seen Black Panther. I'm probably gonna see it like a lot more times, but the reason that I wanted to see it so many times is to dive into Shuri's character and her emotional development over time. When the film starts, Shuri is um focused. She's actually hyper focused on trying to find a cure for her brother's ailment. And this is at a time when um Michael B. Jordan's character has taken the throne and burned all the flowers or whatever. So there's like a very limited amount of this like healing flower that they have left in the community, and she's trying to use that, the limited amount, to develop a cure for her brother who was literally like on his deathbed. And she's like a scientist, right? So she is like focused, she's like hyper focused on developing a cure. And the movie starts with her in the middle of developing a cure. He dies, and she gets the news that he dies, and she's just broken. So very quickly we kind of like bypass a year, but it technically, in terms of time, a year has gone by. So that's 12 months: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 12 months have gone by, and Shuri has somehow maintained a sense of sanity, and has remained like the daughter. She's buried her brother, um and she just continued to kind of like build, because she's now, so a year after her brother's death, she's like using her scientific knowledge to like improve on the designs for the other warrior, the Wakanda warriors, their like gear and stuff, trying to make it better. Now, Shuri is like a really great scientist who also, there's a lot of different types of scientists, right? There's like chemists who are specifically focused on chemistry, biologists who are focused on like biology. Like chemistry is about like these like chemical components, right? So if you're thinking about like maybe chromosomes and the way that like drugs interact with cells, you're thinking about chemistry. If you're thinking biology, though, biologists, those people are thinking about like, okay, so here's me as like a human female, and what are the components that make me a human female? Human, one, that's over here, that's its particular thing. Female, I have particular organs that are different from male organs. You can even start to be like get into epigenetics, where you're like, so what are things that affect me because I'm in the developed world as opposed to the developing world? Or you can talk about mental health, or maybe my like social, whatever. You're talking about my biology, right? That's a whole different thing. But it seems like Shuri is sitting in this place where she like knows a little bit about chemistry and biology, but she's more like a technologist. So she's using like biochemistry to try to create technological suits that like enhance like your human abilities in the real world. And the suits are supposed to like complement and enhance your ability to like fight in the real world. So maybe this, it's beyond like just being bulletproof. Like it seems like the, whatever, I forgot the name of the chemical or whatever that they have in Wakanda, but they use that to create these like shields. They've got swords. They can do kind of some like like body spatial stuff that can get in the it's like shields a little bit, but as the movie progresses on, she starts to talk about like geothermal things, the capacity to like breathe underwater, heat versus like cold, and how that's affecting people's like superpowers. So her knowledge of like geochemistry develops over the film, but I'm just more focused on her like emotional well-being throughout the film, because Shuri is like a leader in so many senses. So first she acknowledges that there's this scientist on the MIT campus, this girl who's been able to build a, I forgot what the thing is called, a whatever their mineral, I forgot what it's called, the mineral detector, that the mineral that Wakanda has. The MIT scientist has built a mineral detector that if you put it underwater, it can tell you like geospatially where this mineral is located, because Americans are trying to find the mineral outside of Wakanda. So she realizes that this scientist is at risk because this person from, is his name Namora, their community is basically like, we're gonna kill this scientist, and she's like, oh shit, we better go find this scientist. So she's trying to like save the scientist, and then she ends up like working with the scientist because the scientist her mother basically dies by her, so Namora drowns out her mother, and then in the process of Namora drowning out her mother, she saves the scientist by pulling her body from the water, and they like resuscitate her and get the air out of her lungs. So then she helps basically build a geothermal suit to like freeze out Namora in a sense, because he has water power and air power that makes him like stronger. And within all of that, I'm still hyper focused on Shuri and her like emotional state, because when the movie starts, she loses her brother. She's like devastated but still heavily invested in the state of Wakanda. But then her mother dies too. And at this point, she goes through this state of it isn't remorse. Like she isn't just sitting like in a state of grief. She kind of immediately throws her grief aside and gets to a state of revenge where she's like, fuck Namora and the Takamaloms or whatever that state is. And she's like, we're gonna fuck them up. Like, no, we're going to war. As soon as she sees them as an enemy, she's like, all right. Like, she gets into her plane and she's like blasting like missiles at him, trying to kill him, because she realizes that these people are dangerous and they're trying to attack Wakanda. And I appreciate that because I feel like it's showing the humanity of Shuri. Shuri lost everything. Like, she lost so much. So fucking much. Shuri lost everything. And I feel like I really like the way that Ryan Coogler approached this film, because oh yeah, because I have like CarMax, because, or is it BlissTech? I'm sponsored by no one, to be clear. But Shuri lost everything, and even amongst like losing everything, she still has managed to kind of like not kind of like, she's been a human through it all. We've seen her sorrow. We've seen her remorse. We've seen her sadness. And we've seen her revenge. And I think that's important. We saw her bury two people in one film. Two, and she actually says it in the film. She said, the two people who knew me for the real me have passed. And I can't recall the way that she said it exactly, but she was like, I don't have any empathy right now. I think she did something to that effect. And that makes sense because Shuri has a right to be angry. Shuri has such a right to be angry. And we actually are able to experience Shuri's anger in a genuine form in the film, and I just appreciate this space for that because we see her lose and we see her win in the same film, and that's kind of how life is. You don't lose all the time and you don't win all the time. It's like this aggregate state of both things happening. I just wanted to provide some space for that.